Hello, we are Nerds of the West. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are showing you how to play the Wolves. This is an area control game all about scoring points by controlling specific areas of the map and also by unlocking and expanding your pack and all the things that are on your board. The more points you get, the better you are doing, and the most points at the end of the game, which is triggered in a very unique way, will win. The people who are teaching you today, my name is Tom. We have a Kye.
Yo.
We have a Billy. And we have a Lachlan.
How you doing?
Kye, if we want to get victory points, what do we need to do to get there?
All right, so victory points in this game are earned through controlling territories. But to do that, we're going to take a series of actions. On your turn, you will get to take 2 actions, any 2 actions that you can afford. So the actions that you can take are paid for with these tiles at the top of your board showing different terrain types. So the payment for actions is pretty interesting. Rather than having resources or having to spend money or something like that, you flip these tiles that relate to the hex on the space that you are doing the action. So to move, for example, you will need to flip one of these spaces that correlates to the terrain type of the space that you are moving to. So if I was moving from this foresty space here to this plain space, I would have to flip a plains one. And you can see that then it changes to a different terrain type.
So you wouldn't be able to move to another plains because you have none available.
Correct. So move is the first of the actions, which we'll talk about. So to move to a space, you flip a tile that matches the terrain type, and you can then move a number of wolves, a number of spaces equal to those shown on your board, your pack spread and your wolf speed. So as we go, we'll be using some of these resources and revealing higher numbers, but at the start of the game, you get to move 2 of your wolves 3 spaces, and they can either move together, they can move separately, as long as they end on a space that matches that terrain type that you flipped. As a part of moving, sometimes you'll be able to surround prey on the board, which are these little pink hexes you can see here. And if at the end of one of your actions, you have 3 wolves surrounding 3 of the spaces bordering prey, you get to hunt that prey and put it on your board here, which will give you a bonus action token to let you take another action later in the game, as you covered that icon, and give you extra victory points at the end of the game.
You can only hunt each kind of prey once, though.
Correct.
So there are
So if I've hunted
five
moose,
unique prey.
I can only hunt other creatures. Then I can't hunt another moose. So you get points based on the number of unique prey you've managed to hunt.
Is the plural not meese?
Mises?
I think both are allowed.
Mises?
The second kind of action that you can take is to build dens and build lairs. You upgrade a den into a lair, and dens can be built anywhere on the map that is 1 space on or away from your alpha wolf, which are the bigger of the 2 wolves that you have available. So you need to flip 2 tiles in this case. So if I wanted to build a den on this forest space here, I would need to flip 2 of my forest spaces, and because I am the forest wolf, one of my tiles will always flip over to being forest, but this one will flip over to desert. And when you build a den, you can take it off of any of your available attributes. So I will take it from wolf speed because I want to be able to move wolves more, and that goes out onto the field there, into the forest. I now have more wolf speed available to me, and at a later point I can do the same thing using 2 tiles to flip over that den into a lair. Dens can be built anywhere. Lairs can only be built next to these water spaces, which are the scoring spaces on each of the tiles. And we'll get to those in a moment. But it means if you want to build a lair, you have to build your den first next to a water space. And lairs are important because if you have a lair, then no one else's wolf can ever go into that space. There's a hierarchy of what things can move into what spaces. So you can always move into someone else's den. Your pack wolf can move into there. Your alpha wolf can move where someone else's pack wolf is and scare them off. You choose where they go, but no one else can ever go into where your lair is. So if you build a lair, so if I build a lair right here, where Lachlan's wolf already is, it would scare it off.
Yeah.
Suck it.
Because lairs are scary.
Lairs are scary. You will unlock these lovely terrain tokens as you build lairs, and these can be used in place of flipping over a token. They are wild. They can be anything you want. And the reason you would want to do that is because for some of the third actions, you need to flip over 3 tiles.
Yes, so the third type of action is to howl, and that can happen in one of 2 ways. You can either howl, which means taking one of your wolves, taking the howl action, which costs 2 tiles, again, of the color or the terrain type that you're on. You then check what is within your Howl range, which is one of the other attributes on your board that you can upgrade. In this case, 2. So within 2 spaces of my wolf is this lone wolf token. If I howl and a lone wolf hears me, it becomes one of my wolves. I take a wolf from my board, replace the token on the board, and I've recruited that lone wolf into my pack. The token then goes on the Moonlight board, as do dens that have been upgraded into lairs, and that will trigger scoring later on. We'll get to the Moonlight board in just a minute. The other thing that howling can do is to dominate. Right? I haven't missed anything.
No, that's fair.
So the howl action is Alpha Wolf Howl or a dominate.
Yes. So sorry, to clarify, it needs to be an alpha wolf that howls to recruit a lone wolf as opposed to one of your little pack wolves. You can also dominate. So dominating is much more difficult. It costs 3 of your tokens to be flipped over, 3 of your tiles, including spending wilds. And you can then howl from an alpha wolf to an opponent's wolf or den within your howl range and convert it to your own. So if I had a wolf standing out here and Billy had one of his wolves nearby and I was to howl, I can replace that wolf with one of my own and convert it into my pack.
Where does my wolf go?
Your wolf goes on the Moonlight board. Anything that ever comes off of the board goes onto the Moonlight board.
And that is how we're triggering the end of the game, but also the area control scoring. So on the Moonlight board, there is the crescent moon, the half moon, and the full moon. And at each time we get to those, we will score the areas that are available for each of those different kind of moons. When we get to the full moon, we do the final scoring, and that is the end of the game.
So to get the scoring for that zone, you have to have the most control of that area. So you have to have, for example, Tom has 2 control in this area for this crescent moon, which will be the first to come up on the Moonlight board.
And that will be 4 points, and I will take this to indicate those 4 points, and the person who comes in second will take 2 points from the supply. A alpha wolf, a pack wolf, and a den counts as 1 point of control, and a lair counts as 3. If there is a tie, it is the person with the most alpha wolves in that area that will win the tie. And if it is still a tie, you both share in the lower number of controls. And the reason that you want to get those over any other kind of points, because all points are equal technically at the end of the day, if there is a tie for final scoring, it is the person who gets the most of those area control discs that wins. And if there is a tie for that, it is the person with the most wolves on the board. So there's a lot of little things that you got to keep track of, not just getting the most points.
Yes, so it's victory points for controlling those areas as they score on the Moonlight board, and at the very end, you score the highest number of victory points for the spaces you reveal on your board. So as you build lairs, those are worth victory points, 5, 10, 15, and finally 20. The more prey you hunt, the more victory points you get there, but you only score the highest revealed victory points from your board, not the total.
So that is the wolves. You are sequencing your actions by targeting specific areas on the map that you want to take those actions, flipping the tiles that are relevant to that specific hex, and hopefully scoring a whole lot of points and having a whole lot of fun. If you are more of a visual learner, we do have a playthrough of this going up. If you're watching this far in the future, that video will already be up. You can also join us live every single week, twitch.tv/nerdsofthewest. But right now, we're going to play. Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you next time.